It's no secret that Lewis Hamilton is excited to take his talents to Ferrari, so much so that he has gone on record to say that he has never started a season excited for the one after it. But all this eagerness has now gotten to a point where it's starting to seriously harm his current relationship with Mercedes and longtime friend Toto Wolff. Let's have a look at the start of the end for Formula One's biggest empire in today's video. Lewis Hamilton has made an uncertainty of his known regarding whether Mercedes will let him start his duties with Ferrari before the F1 2025 season. But he emphasised that his primary focus remains on aiding his current team in reclaiming their leading position in the sport. Hamilton's lengthy and prosperous partnership with Mercedes will conclude at the end of this season, following the seven-time world champion's announcement in February that he will transition to Ferrari for the 2025 season. The revelation caused a stir in the F1 community, particularly as it came only 5 months after Hamilton had inked a fresh 2-year contract with Mercedes, extending until the conclusion of 2025. Having sealed his transfer to Ferrari early in the year, Hamilton now confronts the uncommon situation of having to complete the entire 2024 season at Mercedes, while knowing that his time with the team is limited. In the aftermath of Hamilton's surprising announcement, Mercedes chief Toto Wolff acknowledged that 2024 could pose some challenging situations as they strive to safeguard against Hamilton sharing confidential information with his future team. It's not unusual for drivers to be released from their current contracts before significant winter transitions. For instance, Hamilton's former championship rival Sebastian Vettel was released from his Red Bull contract to test for Ferrari at Fiorano in November 2014, a full 2 months before his official move to the Scuderia. Hamilton, whose sole previous career transition occurred when he switched from McLaren to Mercedes in early 2013, is uncertain if he will be granted a similar opportunity this time around. As reported by German publication motorsporttotal.com, he mentioned this uncertainty when he said, "I think it will start with a conversation with Toto because I don't know how to navigate that. I don't think I was at Mercedes until December 2012, when the first seat fitting was made after the season. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it this time." Hamilton was recently irritated by a reporter's question about his upcoming move to Ferrari following a challenging Japanese Grand Prix, where he finished a distant 9th on race day, marking his worst start to an F1 season. After the Japanese Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton's mood took a downturn, especially when a reporter brought up the topic of Ferrari, causing him to become irritable. Earlier, Hamilton had expressed enthusiasm after qualifying for the race, noting a breakthrough in understanding what he and Mercedes needed to improve the struggling W15, but his mood shifted in a huge way just 1 day later. In the Suzuka race, Lewis Hamilton started from P7 but finished down in P9, even allowing teammate George Russell to pass at one point, with Russell finishing just under 3 seconds ahead in P7. This disappointing result left Hamilton in a less than cheerful mood, which was evident when the media approached him for comments after the race. After offering a brief, "it was okay" evaluation of his race, a reporter attempted to bring up Lewis Hamilton's impending move to Ferrari in 2025, which didn't sit well with him. This led to Hamilton walking out, but not before making a comment in response to the reporter's question. "Are you looking forward to being with them, Ferrari? Because they're faster?" Hamilton responded with, "Do you have any better questions?" During the Japanese Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton was not in the mood to discuss the race, and a reporter's attempt to bring up his move to Ferrari led to Hamilton walking out without answering. Mercedes had initially attempted a one-stop strategy for Hamilton post-race restart, but after he was overtaken by Lando Norris, Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz in quick succession, Hamilton requested a change in strategy. In the Japanese Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton ended up on a two-stop strategy, but he expressed doubt that a different strategy could have salvaged a difficult day for him and Mercedes. He shared these thoughts with Sky F1, who managed to get some words out of him, especially when asked about the potential benefits of a strategy change. "Nothing, I don't think. I don't know what the different strategy would have been, whether there was a reason to stay on the medium at the restart, but we still had 2 really terrible hard tyres to run through, a real challenge today. I think I picked up a bit of damage in the beginning with Charles Leclerc around the outside. I had huge understeering for the first stint. I couldn't turn the car through the corners." Despite this, the 39-year-old remains firm in his desire to conclude his time with Mercedes on a positive note in 2024. He believes that discussions about life at Ferrari could potentially distract him from achieving that goal. "Right now, I want to finish on a high. All my energy is going into that. Of course, I'm looking forward to the future, but we're currently in a difficult situation, and that's my challenge. That's where all my energy is going, to find out how we can get back to the top. How can I work with the boys? Can I give better debriefs? Can I give better direction? I'm a competitive guy first and foremost, so I want to win. Thinking about next year doesn't help me with that." After another dominant win at the Japanese Grand Prix, Mercedes boss Toto Wolff believes that the Formula One title is Max Verstappen's to lose, just 4 races into the season. Verstappen, a 3-time world champion, finished 13 seconds ahead of his Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez, who in turn was 8 seconds ahead of Ferrari's Carlos Sainz in 3rd place. Max Verstappen's victory at the Japanese Grand Prix marked his 3rd win of the season, extending his lead to 13 points ahead of Sergio Perez in the driver standings. In the previous month, Carlos Sainz won the Australian Grand Prix while Verstappen retired from the race, marking the first time in 2 years that the Red Bull driver had to retire from a race. Toto Wolff expressed his hope to avoid another 18 months of struggle for Mercedes, acknowledging that currently their best achievable position is P2 as Max Verstappen seems unstoppable. After initially mentioning understanding the W15 and its setup following qualifying, Lewis Hamilton later remarked that in general the car was pretty bad, as he grappled with understeer during the Grand Prix. Mercedes struggled to challenge for the podium, remaining in the fight for minor points throughout the race. Meanwhile, Red Bull secured their 3rd 1-2 finish of the season, with Max Verstappen leading to extend his lead in the standings by 13 points over Sergio Perez. Red Bull now holds a 21-point advantage over Ferrari. Mercedes currently sits in a distant 4th place in the Formula One standings with 34 points, with George Russell being their best-placed driver in 7th position. Toto Wolff has stated that this year's championship once again belongs to Max Verstappen, with Mercedes realistically fighting for 2nd place at best. No one is going to catch Max this season. His driving and the car are just spectacular, Wolff said at Suzuka. Basically, this season now is best of the rest. Hopefully we catch up to the McLaren and then the Ferraris and fight for P2. This is what it is this year. Toto Wolff expressed his hope that Mercedes won't have to wait until 2026 and the new regulations to challenge Red Bull, as he doesn't want another 18 months of suffering for the team. If your expectation is eventually race for wins and championships, then you can say we are in a bit of a no-man's land because Max and Red Bull are far ahead, he added. We are in this bunch, but it is not satisfying for any team that is fighting for P2 and P3 or P4. If I was to look from a purely sporting point of view, P1 is what matters, not P2, P3 or P4. But this is a reality we are facing at the moment. We're trying to do the best out of this new reality, and that is to beat our direct competitors, whilst acknowledging that somebody is just doing a better job and is setting a benchmark that we eventually need to set ourselves again. Our ambition is to win races this year, and I wouldn't want to let that ambition go, certainly not next year. But 26, there's a big reset which certainly provides the most realistic opportunity for any other team to beat Red Bull. But there are 1 3/4 seasons before that, and I don't want to go through much more suffering in the next, whatever it is, 18 months. I just hope for highlights and a trajectory that's going upward. Toto Wolff mentioned that George Russell bears some responsibility for the incident during the Australian Grand Prix, which resulted in Fernando Alonso receiving a 20-second penalty. Although there was no collision between the drivers, Russell's car flipped onto its side after an attempted manoeuvre on Alonso. At the Australian Grand Prix, Fernando Alonso received a 20-second penalty after stewards determined that he slowed for the corner slightly more than 100 metres earlier than he ever had going into that corner during the race. Toto Wolff believes that George Russell could also bear partial responsibility for the incident. You can hear the drivers. They obviously understand much more on a track that I've never raced on. And they're split. I think Fernando was aggressively defending by trying to take out the momentum before the corner. And maybe he's overdone it, Wolff said. George was just trying to set up an overtake there, but he also takes a certain part of responsibility for having lost the car there. So what I make of this accident, I think in these high-speed corners, maybe you need to take a little bit of the karting philosophy. Killing speed before the corner to have a better exit. But who am I to say? I'm not sitting in that car, I've never been on that level, so I'm just an observer and I look at the data and throttle and brake input, and that was very different on that lap to all the others. Given the state Mercedes is in, where do you have them finish in the season? Put your answer in the comments section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.